All right, guys. Welcome to this presentation for the RATPAC group. My name is Marvin Turner. I'm the president of Winter Field Day, and I took this over in about 2022 and been running it ever since then. So I call this embracing the chill. For some of those, again, we were just talking about as we got started was Texas and Florida. It's like there's not so much chill in Florida in the middle of February, but as it is, up minus 20 in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Montana. So, but we want people to be able to get outside and truly embrace the chill here a little bit. So let's see. There we go. A little bit about me. I've been doing amateur radio for almost nearly 30 years. I think come this May. I host a podcast, The Ham Radio Guy. I've been doing that for about 4 years now. Started really part-time in 2021. And I am now about to approach my 50th episode, either end of this week or beginning of next. And so kind of do it every 2 weeks or so. But if you want to go out and listen to it, you can find it on all the major platforms. I've been a past club president. I was just talking to Tom there at Stones River in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Diamond member of the ARRL. I love taking part in state QSO parties, 13 colonies, ships on the air weekend, Route 66. I love doing those events. And besides that, Field Day is my absolutely most favorite special event or event of the year, is to be able to do winter and summer Field Day. I'm a repeater owner, and I've got some property in western Wisconsin. I love getting out and doing pod activations. I'm an ARRL and W5YI instructor VE, and also an operator of 13 colonies. So I kind of got my hands in a little bit of everything, and currently work for a radio company and doing technical support for them. So you may see me out and about there as well. And I'm trying to get to most of the Ham Fest throughout the year if I can. So if you ever find me, stop and say hi. I've got stickers. I've usually got some Winter Field Day apparel stuff with me too, for like stickers and buttons and stuff like that for Winter Field Day, if you'll find me at Dayton or Hamcation here. So what is Winter Field Day? I'm going to read the first sentence just like it is. I don't like reading from the slideshows, but Winter Field Day is a communications exercise formatted to help increase your level of preparedness for disasters and improve your operational skills in subpar conditions. That's a kind of a big, long sentence, but we really, no matter what the disaster may be, something could be very personal to you. It could be just, hey, we need to be able to communicate somehow other way. We've heard all the stories through situations where, somebody is out in the Mojave Desert, they got stuck. All they had was an HF radio. They called out and, somebody, was able to hear them and they were able to get rescued. And, we hear all kinds of other stories like those happen, through wildfires and hurricanes and stuff. We hear of those situations. We had a lot of that going on this fall with Hurricane Milton and Helene. Hurricane Milton and Helene. And so you just never know when those things are going to approach upon you. And the moment you say, well, that's never going to happen to me, you may just very well find yourself in that condition. And so, I think we all have our home stations and we have our base stations that we love operating from. And I've got a great station behind me as well. I love it. But it's one of those things that you take equipment onto the field. It's a whole different setup. Can you still do WinLink? Can you still do an APRS message? You're able to transmit. Can you do a digital mode if you had to? Are those tools loaded on your laptop? Can you just make a single sideband contact out there? It's always a good time to test your equipment. And I don't think we can always preach this enough, is that, I've got friends that go out and do pod operations all the time. And it's like, I go out there, oh man, I forgot my microphone. I forgot my cable. It's like, oh, I didn't have an antenna with me, those things happen. So could you pack yourself in such a way that you can take your gear and go? And so this is just kind of one of those events that I'll call that helps prepare for some of those things. And then, of course, we all love operating. Okay, maybe not in Florida and Texas. You guys are a little sidebar for the summer, but we all love operating in wonderful summer degree temperatures and sunshine, right? But when it's raining and crappy and cold out and windy and the winter conditions, like we're going to stay inside where the fireplace and we're going to stay warm. But it's like we all does your 20 amp hour battery last as long out in the cold weather as it does in the summer, 70 to 80 degree temperatures? And we all know the answer to that. It doesn't. But, can you operate at 50 watts and get longer time out of it? Well, yes, you probably can, but how much more time? Do you know that answer? So those are the type of things we want you to think about for improving your operational skills in the winter side conditions. One thing about Unique is Winter Field Day is we are a complete independent organization. We are a nonprofit organization, in fact, 501c3. We are open up. We have no affiliation with the ARRL Summer Field Day whatsoever. And we'll go into the history of this in just a moment here. But we are open worldwide to everyone. We have people in South Africa. We have people in Switzerland, UK, Sweden, France, all operating just this 2025 Winter Field Day that's coming up. So we already got people worldwide that are going to be participating. I got people down in Guatemala that are participating. So we know that because they go out and register on our Winter Field Day site with their locations, which I really appreciate. And I'm glad to see that. You'll see in a minute here, we operated in 92 countries last year. There wasn't 92 people operating, but people worked 92 countries last year doing Winter Field Day. And of course, we're always free to open any mode that can faithfully transmit our message, excluding FT4 and FT8. And I'll get into those questions in just a few minutes. So you can participate by yourself. You can participate with a club, however you want to do it. We'll talk about the 4 different ways you can do that as well, and what mode you want to do that in, what type of element of conditions, indoor, outdoors, those sort of things. And so we do see probably 65 to 70% of our people working from home. I think that changed a lot during COVID, and we are certainly trying to encourage people to get back outdoors and to be able to operate in a remote location of some sort, whether that means going and set up your EOC, a local shelter in a park, a community center, a fire station, however you want to do that, but something getting out and again away from the home to be able to operate in a different manner. One thing we have changed this year, well, we changed 2 years ago. We had bonus points, and we went really to more of just objective base last year. And I'll be honest, we caught a lot of flack for that, and it was an issue. And it's a learning curve and trying to change things, because we take feedback from people that send us emails. They send us soapbox comments when we're all said and done, and we try and change a few things based on that information. And I'll give us examples of that again. So this year now we've called it objective number or multiplier numbers, OMNs, and I'll show you those as well in a few minutes here. But they can be anything from operating remote locations to making the satellite contacts, operating more than 6 field day, 6 different bands during field day. And field day is always held the last full weekend of January, just like summer field day is the last full weekend of June. And we're all made up of hams. We're all licensed, and we all kind of believe in our mission of what we're trying to accomplish here. And we really enjoy doing. People on the board want to be on the board, and they're here for a reason. So they want to make Winter Field Day successful as well. So when I took over Winter Field Day, one of the, I call it gentlemen's agreements, handshakes, was that we wanted the core principles to remain the same. And I really have a 4th one on here, and I'll give that in just a second here. But natural disasters are unpredictable, and again, they'll strike when you least expect them. We all know that. But I've kind of covered some of this, is that it shouldn't be limited just to fair weather. And I think if you are going to be operating, and people for Aries quite often do operate in emergency situations, and we've heard those stories, and people utilize them as well. And being professional is always a best practice, and you'll get the best communication out of that. We always know from the days of 9/11 forward that during any major event or type of exercise, if you're doing something with a local emergency management company or agency, or a state emergency management agency of some sort, or maybe just a local communications exercise with your fire department or something, or maybe it's just within your own club that you're doing a communications event. And always comes back and you have the hot wash afterwards, the briefing, and what do they usually find out the problem was? Some form of communication. So, we can't practice that enough, and we can't always stress that. But if you're not professional, that will certainly hurt communications as well. And the other thing, what during this was the for core principle was really keeping FT4 and FT8 off this game here. And again, I'll get into that in just a few more minutes, but that was kind of that fourth thing that was unmentioned. The current board of directors is myself. My secretary is out of Kansas. Melinda Birchfield is out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. My brother, Michael, he's my creative services manager. He does all the designs, kind of help create the back end of the slide. Any of our patches and other buttons and things that he will all do through his company, Ham Stuff Online. And so he will do a lot of the rules and things like that as well, and sending out of emails. So he has a big role in what happens here at Winter Field Day. Andrew Kitchens is our kind of our back end for our website. And then the three newest members came on in October, Craig, Mike, and Travis. And they are board members, and Craig's been very good at helping out Andrew on the back end with the SQL databases. And Mike Kelly is doing a lot of our social media, and Travis is providing a lot of input otherwise, and helping hands in other ways as well. So that is our current board. We've added a few more people in there, and so it was nice to have a few more hands. It does make the workload a little bit lighter to say to help out with certain things like on the back end that we needed this past year. A little bit about Winter Field Day. Some people have no idea what it is. We did a presentation with Ham Nation on the very 1st of January here. And in the side chat, a lot of people are going, what is Winter Field Day? And that really kind of continues to blow my mind every year that we do have people asking that question. And I've got people when I do booths and stuff at certain ham fest. I get more local ham fest because it's really hard at the big ones like Dayton and Hamvention and stuff or Hamcation to do that. But I have had a booth at Huntsville before. But people do come up and say, hey, what is Winter Field Day? It really is surprising to me. And so a little bit of history of this is that Charles N5 PVL proposed the idea back to the Society of Preservation of Amateur Radio in 2006. And in 2007 was the very first Winter Field Day that was held. And I think it was kind of small, but it has since grown to pretty big numbers. You'll see in just a moment here. And so as they continue to hold on to it for the next 8 years, in 2015, they had some health issues. And so the board changed hands for the first time. And then Tom WFDA took it over in 2015 and then released it to myself in 2022. And so it's been handed off twice now, and I am the third owner of it. I've had to do all the paperwork for 501c3 filings and all that. It takes a little bit on the back end to make all that happen. And it was not just an easy say, hey, oh, here's the organization, just change presidents like you might a club. It was a true filing of the state and federal and all that. So it was quite a lengthy several month process to get this done and get it approved for that to happen. So, but we're doing good. I plan on hanging on to it for a long time here, and hope we continue to keep it a very successful event. We've made some subtle changes over the years, but again, our purpose will remain the same. Our core values and principles don't plan on changing there. And we always think when we think of making changes, or if someone's asking a question, is this done in the spirit of Winter Field Day? And kind of an income exercise mode or thought process behind that. So again, we're all licensed, and we really enjoy doing Winter Field Day. And so I think we have a great board right now that really does have some great input and thought process behind this to continue to grow this. Hopefully I'm not hiding too much of the screen here. In 2023, we had 2,367 logs that were submitted with almost 300,000 QSOs, which is incredible. 19,000 different call signs were used at the time. I think summer field day does around 30,000 or 35,000, something like that. So, we're quite smaller than them, but I think we've got pretty good numbers and we continue to grow on them quite a bit. There were 7,041 contacts not in the logs claimed. So basically, there was I'm gonna throw Tom because I know him here. K1KY worked somebody in winter field day, but did not submit a log, and so we had 7,000 contacts that were basically not claimed as a log somewhere. When they, when final numbers came around, because we can look and go, all right, hey, you know what? We have all these people that made all these contacts. Maybe Tom made 50 contacts with somebody, with different people, but he never submitted a log. Well, that will show up in our reports, and we can go, hey, Tom, by the way, look him up on QRZ and go, we saw you worked with some stations in winter field day, but you never submitted a log. Would you mind, or would you be interested in submitting a log for it? So that's how we kind of come up with that number. Ohio was the most active state with the stations on the air. And I don't remember how many that was right offhand. I want to say there was around 104 is what that is. Sorry, part of my screen's hidden. And the year before that was North Carolina. And so, that was, I think, around 90 some that year. So Ohio picked it up quite a bit the following year. Between US and Canada, there were just a couple rack sessions. I want to say like Montana, maybe Mississippi, like South Dakota. They're usually the more common ones that don't have a lot of activity for whatever reason. I can understand Montana, South Dakota. South Dakota is not that unpopulated, but it does have, some people there. So I would think somebody in South Dakota would be working winter field day. But presently, as of looking at today, there's still nobody registered in South Dakota for a winter field day location. So still one, I think I do have somebody in Montana this year. Again, I mentioned home is the most popular activity where people are staying most of the time, and they only work about 4.4 hours out of a 24-hour event. We're getting about 4.4 hours out of that. And our most popular logging software in 2023 was N3FJP. So kind of interesting stats. I enjoy following some of these. And you can see in the picture, quite a few people do have some pretty elaborate setups that they really do. In 2024, a little less snow on the ground on that one, but we only had 2,085 logs. So a fewer logs were submitted, and a few less contacts. We had 296 the year before, 268,000 made this year, but still a good number, I would say. It's over 250,000. I'll take it. About 19,000 call signs again were utilized. Ohio only had 96 stations reported. We did have this is a new stat for us this year in 2024, was 92 countries who worked. And I mentioned that just a few minutes ago, that we were able to work a DX of 92 countries. And I thought that was quite interesting that from last year's stats. N3FJP is our most popular software. And with that, there's a little bit of interesting information we get when you submit your ADF or Cabrilla format. I do know for sure is it will tell us that you used version 2.2.1 or you used version 2.6.8. And so we know what version you used. And what happens sometimes is that a lot of the logging programs like, in 3FJP or N1MM will go through and make some minor changes in their software or do some updates. We've asked them to do some updates in the past as well. So someone who's running a version 2.2.1, and I think today he's on like 2.6 or 2.8. I think he's on 2.8 for winter field day. And so we ask people to update their logging software, usually within probably that Monday or Tuesday before winter field day, because we get so many different versions. And, let's say back in 2018, maybe Scott in 3FJP called a field a certain name of some sort, but in today's log of 2.8 whatever 6 it is, he's named it something else. And so when we go to do our database and we look at that, we have the same thing with N11M or hammers. any of the other programs you have, they will call a field, instead of calling it just category, they might call it, maybe they have class and category switched or something like that, and so we have to try and square that away in our database and reverse that information. And it makes it kind of difficult. So if you can update to your latest logger, it really does help us on the back end in getting those scores and that data, in accurately. So that would be greatly appreciated from that. But we do highly recommend N3FJP. N11M obviously is a big one as well. So, but N3FJP by far is the most used. Some clarifications for Winter Field Day. These are some of the, I'll call it, frequently asked questions that we get. And the number part of the entry is designed by the number of transceivers. So if you were a station called 2 outdoors, 2 is by the number of transceivers that you have at that location. And some people, don't ask me how, they will reverse that somehow, and they will mess that up in whatever they do. In our entries, you will have your class and category. Obviously, it would be like 2 outdoor, it would be 2 outdoors or 2 mobile, 2 indoors. And then your rack section is the other field of entry of information that we are looking for. Whether you're in Western Mass, Central Florida, Northern Texas, anything like that. So, that would be the information we're looking for. A lot of people will go, hey, well, I've got 3 transceivers here. Our thought process is, you've got 3 transceivers, but you're only really able to fulfill 2 of them to operate, let's say, in that 24-hour time period. And you can't fill that 3rd one. You're not really 3 Oscar at that point, or 3 indoors. You're only able to really fulfill 2 of them. So if you had, let's say, 2 HF stations, a single sideband and a digital station, or a CW station, and your other one is maybe a VHF station, you still don't have, a 3 outdoors because you have 3 transceivers there. So it's really based on your amount of operating stations that are operating on a continuous basis. And I understand people have to take breaks and things like that. That's not what we're saying. But if you're just, having, an empty station sit there for some reason, or not being manned, it doesn't count necessarily as your extra, an extra transceiver or 3 outdoors for you versus 2. So a lot of people kind of have a lot of questions around that sometimes. So hopefully that's a little bit more clear. And again, choose a class that most applies to the majority of the stations you have. We get a lot of questions around, well, we're working on an indoor station, but I've got 2 people outdoor that are utilizing tents outside as well. They want to stay outside in tents. And so we go with the majority of the stations that you have. So if you had 2 outdoors and 1 person that was set up an indoor somehow, or maybe you're at a park and you had a camper there, so you'd be more like a mobile platform, and 2 people are in tents outdoors. It would be 2 out, or you'd be 3 outdoors actually. So does that make sense? So go with the majority of stations that you're representing. So if obviously if you're at a fire station, you're going to be, how many transceivers and whatever you're at, going to be 3 indoors. That's going to be the majority of your stations. But if you have a cross between indoors or outdoors or mobile, or maybe someone's at home and got a bunch of people working outside and some type of shelter or tent, go with where the majority of the stations are for your class. And then scores are based upon the total number of QSO points times the and I didn't update that, and I apologize. It's times the objective multiplier number, and so we'll get to that in just a second. I think that might be well, there we go. So let me just go back to that. I'll come back to the other screen. So you take your total number of objectives that you have achieved times your total number of QSOs. So this year you have a total. I thought somebody said something. You have a total number of multiplier numbers for a total of 26 points available, or a qualifier of 26. Now, if you made 100 QSOs, you'd have 2,600 points. We just don't really believe that there's any reason for someone to achieve 900,000 points or 90,000 points for any reason. again, this is not really meant to be a contest. We do have a contest aspect to it. We know we engage, or people want to be a part of that because it has a contest aspect. But we really want this to be fun, enjoyable. We want it to be a learning curve for people, and to prepare people for operating in whatever type of condition you may encounter. So again, we love the contest side of it, and we're going to continue to keep that. And that's why we try and keep some elements around that. But if you operate away from home, you have 3 extra points. So we're trying to, again, incentivize people to get out a little bit more. If you make a satellite contact on FM, or if you made a satellite contact via single sideband or CW, you can do either one there. It can be a little bit more difficult to do. Make a WinLink contact, and you can find somebody. If you have a friend you want to send that to, if you want to send it to your wife's email, whatever it has to be, as long as you're sending that out over RF and not Telnet, that is just fine. Working 6 continuous hours, again, that doesn't mean you can't get up and take a break, go get some drink, go get a food, whatever, but that you're continued just to operate through that time. Working QRP stations, working at least 2 different modes, CW and single sideband, digital and single sideband, however you want to do that, but at least you can try and do something different. And then if you copy our winter failed day bulletin, and we will be doing that at, I'm going to call it 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern, which is like, I'm sorry, Pacific time, which is like 1 p.m. must be 1 p.m. and whatever it's going to be, must be like 10 p.m. for Eastern time. So I'm trying to do that math on the air, and I shouldn't be doing that, of course. We're never great at that, but we will have a winter field day bulletin, and more information will be on our website, and we'll be putting that on social media with those times and information. So please go out and check that out. That should be released by the beginning of next week. So all that information will be out there. We're just trying to get some of those final details solidified probably tomorrow, and then we'll get the final thing written up. So, but this is how you're going to do your multipliers for this year. Your number of QSOs times the number of objectives that you have achieved, that you have been able to complete, and that will give you your total points. So we've made that pretty simple versus if what we had back here, a power output multiplier times band mode multiplier, and it became kind of difficult for our math on our back end with our back end that we have. So anyway, notable changes for Winter Field Day 2025. Event times have changed. We're now starting at 11 a.m. Eastern, and back that up. Obviously, I think it's like 7 a.m. for Pacific time. And the reason we're doing this is because when I moved out here to the east, we found out that a lot of parks close during the winter, and they will either close sometimes completely, or they will close at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And so people who wanted to go operate maybe a POTA during the day and do a little bit of winter field day, they would have to pick up and be done by 4 o'clock so they could be out of the park by 5. And they didn't have much time to be able to operate there. So backing that up to a few more hours gives us a little bit more time for people out here in the east to be able to deal with that, and not have go dark so soon for us on that side. Locations don't have to be remain fixed during the entire event. So if you operate in a park one day on Saturday, and you wanted to go operate from another park on Sunday, you certainly could. And what this does, this allows you to be able to at least stay in the same rack section. If you were somewhere between Central Florida and Northern Florida, and you were right there on that line, you couldn't switch if you're, let's say, one mobile during the event, you're calling yourself Central Florida, you can't go the next day and call yourself one mobile and be in Northern Florida in a different rack section. So as long as you stay within the same rack section, you can change your location in that area. Obviously, spell checker did not get me very well on this one either. So objectives or bonuses are now called the objective number multipliers. So we've changed those a little bit. They were previously called bonuses. Several objectives have been added to this year, and I think we'll go through them in just a minute here. And of course, our winter field day bulletin is something new that we're copying as well. One of the big things for this year is that we partnered with the World Radio League. It's a fairly new online logger, and don't quote me on this one, but there's actually two things I guess I'll say is they do have in their contest section, you can go out and sign up for Winter Field Day. It's the only way they can really label that is as a contest, even though, again, I kind of mentioned we're not. But you have the ability to go out and mark your objectives, as you can kind of see on the right-hand side of the screen. You can check your objectives here on the right, and when you get them completed, and if you're able to complete 5 objectives, then and you took your number of QSOs, it'll automatically calculate your score. There's a called a hot leaderboard that is active from the very beginning, and so based upon the number of QSOs and people completing objectives is where you may fall in that leaderboard during Winter Field Day. So it is a real-time online logger. It is not a final submission. It is not I'll call it a final scoring mechanism for your score, but it certainly is another way to be able to go log. It creates a little bit of a online competition. We create some fun and excitement around this, and you'll see where it says their call sign frequency mode in the class and section. Just don't worry about the formatting of this. It's been updated or going to get fixed, but has just not been released yet. This is a early on screenshot that they were able to send me of kind of what they were looking at having available to us. So I wanted to be able to put that in there so people are aware of that. You do have to sign up for World Radio League, go in and create a username and password, but it is absolutely free. And we all love free. So it's absolutely free to go out and use. And I hope that, I think there's around 60 or 70 people already signed up for this. And I'm looking forward to a lot more participating in this event here online and kind of see where that's going to be. So I'm hoping to take part in that myself. I've signed up for it and hoping to take part in that myself for Winter Field Day. So it should be very exciting. That should be a lot of fun. And it always kind of creates that challenge for people. And again, something new and exciting to have that we want to be able to bring to you guys. So trying to continue to increase these type of opportunities on a regular basis for us every year. Oh, sorry. And we covered that one. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, why isn't FT8 allowed for Winter Field Day? Around Winter Field Day, we do have the exchange. And for those of us who have played in FT8 or FT4, it is a simply, you're my gosh, I'm going to draw a complete blank right off hand. You basically have your minus 22 or whatever, your minus 18, your minus 2 you might have for a your strength, your RSI basically. And I should know the name of that, and I'm drawing a blank or whatever purpose. But you can put CQ Pot in there, and some people can do that. And you could probably put 2 outdoor space, Western Mass or something. But we just don't really believe that it's a true MCOM emergency communication type of a digital mode that will transmit an effective message if you really had to do it. Is there a way to do it? Yeah, I suppose you could, but one of the agreements was that 4th agreement of core principles that we're not going to allow FT4 or FTA for Winter Field Day. We say that you have 364 other days of the year to go play with it. If you want to do it that day, that's fine. It won't count towards Winter Field Day. And the other fact that is, there are so many other digital modes out there. You can go learn, play, figure out from JS8 call, PSK 31, MFSK 16, Olivia, any of the others, Iridi. I mean, there's so many more out there that you can go figure out and learn besides FTA, because it is really a shooting fish in the barrel thing sometimes, and it is easy. And I'm not going to knock it. I do it myself occasionally. On my station right behind me here, and throughout my day sometimes when I'm working. and it can be kind of fun to get a lot of DX stations, and I know people get DXCC awards based on FT8, and I fully understand that, but it really doesn't exchange the information for what we want for winter field day. So that's the reason we don't allow it. We get this question asked of us every year, and I just don't see us changing that anywhere or anytime soon. Again, there's so many other digital modes to use. Why not try and learn something new and make a resolution for yourself for 2025 to learn something new. Getting into submitting the log. Logs can be submitted up to March 1st on the website. We give you about 30 days to be able to do this, and we believe that's more than plenty enough time to be able to accomplish that. I have some people occasionally say, hey, last year we had problems with some scoring or some log submissions, so we did extend the date beyond that because some issues on our end. But most time we say you should have more than enough time, 30 days, to be able to complete that, but get your logs compiled if you're working with other stations, and be able to get the compiled into one format and uploaded by March 1st. Again, we do take Cabrillo and ADIF formats. I'm looking to see if really that's going to continue to be a viable option. We started doing ADIF last year, and for those who had submitted a log last year, will know that scoring was a major issue for us, and I apologize, and I say that sincerely. I was mad as you were about this, and very upset overall, and I apologize, and I'm being completely honest here with you. It was very frustrating on my end, and I hated to have to continue to hear about when are we going to get scores, when are you going to get your scores. And it was just because we took in the ADF format, and kind of, as I discussed earlier, was that different loggers will label things differently, and depending on different versions, they'll label it differently. So not just between the loggers, but it's also the different versions. So it's very important you get to the latest format as possible, and so we can do that. If you do find an error in your log after submitting it, just correct your log and resubmit it, and it will fix it on our end. We will see that and get that corrected. And again, even if you're using, I know a lot of people used like 3030 or Contest Logger, or maybe this year they'll see that it's in the World Radio League. Hey, I have a score here. This is it. Nope, that is not the official score. It does come from Winter Field Day directly and upload to our site to get that final score. So I've been told that things are in better shape for this year, and that we should be having scores out much sooner and corrected on our end. So I hope that you'll hold me to that one, and I do appreciate that. The future of Winter Field Day, we want to continue to increase education. What is Winter Field Day? Increase the participation around it. Get more interaction through it. We want to be able to make it fun and more enjoyable. We want to get more and more people involved all the time. So that is our ultimate goal, to be able to do this. I've got a great guy doing social media this year. He's much better. And we're on you'll see in a few minutes on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all the major platforms. So I hope that you will find our messages and see us out there, and you'll join us. And I think we have around 700 subscribers on YouTube, and I think we just passed around 5,700 on Facebook. So if you haven't joined us on any of the social medias and you're on it, go join us. We'd love to see you out there. Again, a lot of our information will be transferred via that platform, one of those platforms. And so if you want to know what's the latest and greatest, we will be putting the information out, because it is a quick way of getting our information out versus saying, hey, just go visit our website, and people may not just do that. So again, reevaluation of the format and rules. We do take feedback from everybody every year, and with those soapbox comments, those emails that come in, and someone this year mentioned, hey, you have to enter a latitude and longitude, and people miss the minus sign in the longitude quite often, and their Winter Field Day site gets submitted over to China. So it's one of those things that we have to go through and correct that and make that fix that error on our back end. But someone said, why not just use your address, and we can just put our address in, and that makes sense too. So we may look at doing this next year, just putting an address in and calling it good there. So just something we'll take under advisement and definitely go from there. If you're a club, you're an individual, if you're a company and you want to help sponsor Winter Field Day, we do have our back end cost to be able to keep the website up and running, to be able to have storage cost for year after year of information and database, things like that. GoDaddy, HostGator, all those hosts want their money every year for participating things, and we buy swag. We hand out that swag to you as well in return. So we have to pay for our books to be able to keep those managed. Software is not free, unfortunately. Those type of things, we do have cost involved. So if you are interested in some type of sponsorship, or you just want to make a general donation to our website, you can find that information at the top of our website. And then, of course, something we started 2 years ago was participation certificates. And we're trying to get Parks on the Air endorsement on there yet. I'm not sure that that's coming around yet. We're still trying to make that happen, but hopefully maybe another year or two we'll be able to get that accomplished. But if you're working POTA and you're doing Winter Field Day at the same time, we can put a Parks on the Air, stamp on there for you, basically. So, but if you submit your log, you should be able to download a certificate. If you have issues with that, please send us an email, let us know, and we'll try and get that corrected for you. We try and answer most of our emails within about 24 hours. Sometimes they, don't get answered quite that soon, but we'll do our very best. Other things we've considered doing, like a special event station, maybe having 6 different stations throughout the U.S. spelling winter, using like W1N or something like that as an example. And so, we will maybe do something like that down the road if we can find enough stations to be able to do that and have interest. So if you do have interest in that, let me know. Maybe we'll look at doing that down the road. Again, we always provide new documentation, including frequently asked questions. We have participation aids and videos that can be found on our website. If you are in the news somewhere and your Winter Field Day site makes the news, please share that with us, either on our Discord or via email. Say, hey, the ABC News or CBS News came out with something and did a quick video spot on us on our Winter Field Day site. We'd love to hear about that. We'd love to be able to put that on our back end of our website and show people that Winter Field Day is making the news in places. And so if you have that, please let us know that. I'd greatly appreciate that along the way. I'll participate this year. If you participated, the rules have not changed much, but just go visit winterfieldday.com, because again, some of the notable changes that I've made, talked about this evening, is that they are in there. They're in our Winter Field Day packet. And, we don't take any paper logs. So you have to log it somehow via some type of software-based program that will produce a Cabrilla or ADF format when it's all said and done. And, if you can't get out for some reason, I understand. I keep those home stations around because they are an important valuable asset when it comes to maybe some type of, natural disaster. We need people at home to be able to work from their stations that have not been affected. So I understand the importance of having home stations out there. But some people are more disabled, more elderly. They can't get out and work in the cold. I fully understand that. And so, we want to keep home stations around for that reason. And we try to be respectful of that. But go jump on the air 25th and 26th, try to make some contacts and have a little fun with this. Don't forget to submit your logs, and late entries aren't going to be accepted. So, we keep that pretty standard throughout, but be like this guy, just chill, relax, have a good time, and have a lot of fun with that. Again, you can find a lot of this information over on our website. Look for our webpage, go under rules, look, and I think it's in red about a third of the way down the page. Look for the Winter Field Day packet, and it has all the information in there. We have the logging programs listed on the website. And again, these are kind of our top ones that are, we prefer, that are really good. And, if you have something else, that's fine too. But a lot of these will have that under their contest mode listed, a Winter Field Day as an option. So that's why we kind of like those. And they're, again, just update to the latest version of them this year, if you would, please. That'd be great. You can find us on all the major media social platforms that I kind of mentioned a minute ago as well. Discord, and I'll give you a link to our Discord in just a minute. You can also join our Discord from our website at winterfieldday.com or .org. And if you don't want to have them write down or take a picture of the link now, that's fine. but go out and find it right there on our website, and you can join from there. So that link should be active all the time to join. If it's not active for some reason, it should be open-ended for all time. But if it's not and you're not able to join, send me an email and we'll get it figured out. I can send you an invite of some sort. We'll get that figured out. So if you're interested in that, a lot of good information is passed along out there. We have a lot of good channels within our Discord channel, and it's a great way to communicate with others and be able to figure out what's going on from there as well. Supporting our Winter Field Day site continue to help us thrive. Again, we are, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we are a nonprofit organization, and we're all dedicated volunteers. We are completely unpaid, and so none of that goes towards directly supporting my pocketbook or anybody else's pocketbook on the board. That is simply keeping it within the Winter Field Day itself. And so if you want to continue to donate to us in any way to help us out, it'd be always greatly appreciated. Again, it is based on just self-funding, but we do offer PayPal as an opportunity for you to be able to go make a donation. It's a blue box at the very top of our webpage, and you can do that. And you can either choose to make pay the convenience fee, or we can pay that, either one. It just kind of comes out of the top overall, but everybody wants their dollar. So unfortunately, go visit our website, check that out for Discord and PayPal, and help us, keep our mission alive and supporting. We do have one major sponsor, and that is ICOM. They do give us a little bit of money every year for helping keep this going. And without them, I'm not sure what we'd do. Honestly, we do appreciate them by all means, and what they are able to give for us. And we try and, push them as much as we can from supporting them as back as well. So I wish I had a radio or something to give away to the top contender, but unfortunately we don't. So we do have some partnerships. Again, World Radio League. We do have some free advertising on QRZ. That if you go through QRZ webpage, a little banner up the top, they always have rotating. Every time you hit return or refresh, a new banner comes across, and they are willing to put our Winter Field Day advertisement up there for us every year. So I will give them a little kickback here, saying thank you, QRZ, for doing that and giving us a little bit of advertising, talking about Winter Field Day, and World Radio League for partnering with them this year and getting that to work out, and being a logger for us. So they don't do a logging event for every contest, but they said you guys are definitely worth the time and putting the effort together to be able to create a platform for the Winter Field Day site. So that was good. There is one caveat to the World Radio League that I didn't mention earlier. I was going to mention, I forgot, was we're trying to do an integration between N1MM and 3FJP, where you can log in those logging programs, and then from there you can push right to a World Radio League and still participate. So I'm hoping they can get that information done between now and Winter Field Day and have a video out for us. They were going to try and do that, but I'm crossing my fingers on that one in hopes that that integration will be done. But they couldn't guarantee it for this year because of the short time frame we were working under. But we will again hope and pray that will get done. That would be a lot of fun to be able to do that and push right into World Radio League. Any questions? You can reach us at WFDA@winterfieldday.com. Find us on social media. There's our Discord link if you have any questions there. And feel free to reach out to us. I'm usually on there. I see one or two board members are usually on there most of the day. We are kind of there on the back end and watching and monitoring and adding input and trying to answer questions as soon as they come up. So if you really want an answer to a Winter Field Day question, that is probably the quickest way to get that from us. To get the answer would be to go through Discord. It's a great platform. Again, we're on it pretty much all day long, monitoring it, checking it out, and we can redirect questions there as well, and find somebody else that might have an answer. And a lot of people within just the Discord channel itself has a lot of that information that they're sharing with other members of Discord. So it's a great platform to communicate on if you have not been a part of Discord before. So I hope that you'll enjoy that. That is all the questions I've got. And all the information I've got. Any questions from the group?
I have a question, Bill McFarland.
Go ahead, Bill.
What could I do this? You mentioned about different locations. If I went out Saturday and got too cold and on Sunday wanted to work from home, can I do that?
You can't, unfortunately, because that would change your, we'll call it one outdoors to a one home
Yeah.
station, and that would not be. It would screw up your whole log then because you're not
Okay.
remaining consistent the throughout the event. So yeah,
I
unfortunately,
understand.
I get that, but I would love to say, yeah, go work from home on Sunday. I fully get it. I kind of had to do that last year. I was at a club, um, and I end up having to. I operate under their call sign, but I really wanted to participate myself as president here, and so I went home, and I didn't really have a setup to do other than working from my back porch was about 40 degrees, and I just worked from home for a couple hours myself, and made about 60, 70 contacts or something like that on from the home side myself. But unfortunately, I couldn't just use that same call sign I had used on Saturday at a club location. So, yep.
Question?
Good question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Robert Grinnell, KD7 WNV. Rules question. There's been a rule change this year that I haven't seen any attention given to, but it's 180 degrees from last year. Last year, the rules said that, let me get it here, multiple transmitters are allowed to operate on the same band mode at the same time. And this year's rules have that same sentence with the word not interjected into it. Not allowed to operate on the same band mode combination at the same time. Was that an actual change or was it a typo in 2024 or?
Let me just go pull the rules up real quick just so I can be sure in what I'm reading. Do you know where you find that in the rules at?
Yeah, just a moment here. It's in the little list of miscellaneous statements towards the bottom, page 5, just right towards the bottom there.
All right. Yeah,
Second to the last bullet point in the packet, at least.
So it says multiple transmitters are not allowed to operate on the same band or mode simultaneously. So,
yeah. So last year, the word not, the same sentence was there, but the word not was not in it. So it said it was allowed last year.
I'm going to go with what the rules are saying, Rafan. But if you email me or email Winter Field Day here, let me clarify that with W4OPS who wrote the rules and see if I can go pull that from last year. He has the prior. We do keep all of the year's copies where we can go back and review and look at that and just to see if there was. Let me find out his reasoning behind that if he did change that and why.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that one, and I apologize that I didn't realize that if that is a change, in fact, a change from last year. I don't remember us discussing or going through that. And so I'm happy to do that. So if you would please email me that question,
okay.
I will get that put back out and we will post that. I'll try and get something out of my social media guy, put something back out on that if we make a change. So that we can, and we'll get that corrected on the Winter Field Day rules as well. So if that is in fact a change and different, but right now I'm going to go that if this is what we've got written in here, I'm going to go with that. So I don't know why you couldn't be on 20 meters digital running JSA call and then also be on 20 meter single sideband or CW at the same time. So if you had two stations going, so I don't know the answer to that, and I apologize. So.
Well, it says same band and mode combination, but it's a fairly significant change for my group. My club was operated last year, but it was kind of a semi-organized effort. It was kind of several guys setting up their own station and doing their own thing.
Right.
And we did end up with being on say 20 meter SSB with two stations at the same time. Of course, that creates its own issues in terms of interference, but
Right. And maybe that's why we did that potentially. I was thinking that. I was thinking that answer initially just to avoid
yeah,
interference, but I don't know that that's the right answer. So I didn't want to really
yeah,
throw that out there, but that was kind of what my initial opinion first thought was when I saw that.
yeah. Well, I figured that's our problem to deal with, but okay, I'll email you later about it. And,
Yeah,
you
please
can
do. I'd really
look at
appreciate
it.
that. And we'll get that. Well, that's a good question to have clarified.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Anybody else?
We're good in chat.
Yep, it looks like we're good there. So, um,
Really a good presentation, Mike. Thank you very much.
oh yeah, not a problem, Dan. Glad to do it. I appreciate you guys inviting us back again here this year to go over this because we did have a lot of changes, and I think we will have every year some sort of change to go along the way that will continue to enhance and make this better. And we want to continue to improve it. And there's things like this year, I really kind of plan on hopefully working. I'm going to a site in New Hampshire. And I'm hoping to do a little bit of slow scan television with some winter field day images. And so, I'm hoping to get that out and if it'll work for me on my end to be able to do that. But it's not something we're doing officially, but I'm going to throw it out there as just kind of some fun. But we made make an objective one year that says, hey, copy the slow scan television image from, from W0MET or something. So, this things will continue to try and change and give people new opportunity and new things to try. And as the technology and ham radio continues to change, we try and stay up with that as well at the same time. So,
Sounds like a lot of fun to me. A good time to try some new ways of doing things like that.
yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of back end work on our side too. From about mid-December through the end of January, I'm pretty much swamped between meetings and planning and organization and conversations. And I mean, we really start this probably I'll call it April, every year, and we start going through it, and then we kind of drop off for a few months through the summer because everybody's busy with life, and then about August we'll pick it back up and we start planning again and trying to organize all this and get things out because people are literally July 1st are usually emailing us and go, when are the winter field day rules coming out? Because they want to know right away so they can start planning their winter field day for that following year. So it is quite interesting that people are pretty good planners out here, I found out. But we don't usually get them out till about September usually, and still find that to be usually sufficient enough time to make that happen. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, so look for some questions. Anybody got any questions, comments?
How many of you guys plan on participating in Winter Field Day? Quite a few of you?
I see at least one hand being raised there.
Yeah, see a few hands there, exactly. So for sure. So
That's good.
good. At least we'll get a few participants out there and hope to work you on the air. And again, we'll have that Winter Field Day bulletin coming out too, and more information about that. So follow us over on the social media aspect of it. On one of the probably let's say Facebook or Twitter be the most likely, or our Discord channel will definitely have the information. So Bill, thank you for participating. So very good.
Okay, well, thank you.
Not a problem. Well, have a good night and be well, guys, and stay warm. I know some of us are up here in the Northeast and down through Dallas all the way to Nashville. Some storms are coming through, so expect to get some pretty good winter blasts through there. So be safe through all that and be safe at Winter Field Day. We always try and make sure we push safety as well. We don't want you to get caught out in a blizzard in a small tent and you have to get rescued. So we do want to, I didn't really mention that, but we do want you to be safe as well. And you think about those type things when you're going out, and are you prepared to have enough clothing, enough food, enough, some type of shelter for all your situations as well. So anyway, well,
Yeah.
73, and thank you guys for having us.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
all for coming.
All right. Have a good one, Dan.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, and Barry, thank you for picking up. I was a little bit late this morning. I got caught in traffic, and Barry picked up the slack there. So thank you very much for doing that, Barry. Appreciate that.
Anytime. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, well, unless there's some more questions or comments, we'll pull the plug here and get ready for tomorrow's presentation. As most of you hopefully know that we are now started back up with the 2 presentations a week, Wednesdays and Thursdays. We have a quite a schedule looked out there for quite a while, and hopefully it'll just keep growing. That's what this is all about. Okay, one more shout. Anybody got any questions, answers, comments?
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
All right, well, I'll say 73s, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Hopefully see you tomorrow.